Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of The Search Bar. Has your marketing gone bitter or sour? Sit back and enjoy top shelf strategies from The Search Bar, where we're serving up insights for your digital marketing to work successfully. I am your host, Eric Ritter, SEO Sommelier and CEO of Digital Neighbor, a friendly neighborhood marketing and SEO company based right here in Tampa, Florida. For today's episode, we are joined by Travis Lastra, Director of Sales at GoPayHawk, to discuss how to be authentic in your sales process as a business owner. Travis, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Super excited for today's episode. We're going to get right into it. We always start off with your roots. So Travis, just curious if you can just briefly tell me about yourself, where are you from, where you grew up?
Yeah, born in Fort Lauderdale and raised in Atlanta for the last 20 years and made my move down to St. Petersburg about 2 years ago.
That's awesome. So fun fact, I was also born in Fort Lauderdale, but my parents were on vacation. Yep, exactly. So I was 2.5 months premature, and then I was a military brat, and so I grew up all over the place. So, but now I'm back in Florida as well. So both of us are actually Florida natives.
Exactly.
Found our way back here somehow, right?
Love that.
So what brought you to Tampa?
It was an opportunity after COVID with everybody working remote. I wanted to get somewhere a little more warm, and I really find peace by the ocean. So being able to be by the ocean and be able to still do my work has been a life changer for me.
That's fantastic. So, you're coming here to Tampa, and we'll get into kind of GoPayHawk, but just curious, what are you passionate about? What drives you?
For me, I'm passionate about the ocean, whether that be me just spending time on the water, on a boat, on the beach, diving, or whether it be cleaning up the ocean, doing just a little bit of marine conservation.
I love it. Well, you came to the right place then here in Tampa Bay, because you can really expand your horizon, your wings, and do all of that here.
100%.
That's amazing. So we talked a little bit. You're the director of sales at GoPayHawk. So how did you end up in sales, and did you have any training for that, or how did you get into that?
For me, I've always been a sales guy. I mean, since I was 4 years old, I was selling pet rocks outside of my house.
I love that.
At 6 years old, I had a lemonade stand. So for me...
You've always been a hustler.
Exactly. Always a hustler. So straight out of high school, I ended up going into the restaurant industry, becoming a cook, realizing, wait a minute, I like cooking, but the servers make way more. I can do the server side instead. Yep. So ended up jumping over there and realizing that I was good with people, and, sales is where it was at. Ended up getting an opportunity at a freight brokerage, jumped on it, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. That's an amazing kind of transition there as well, kind of recognizing, you had that strength from an early age and now applying it there. So, thanks for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Cool. Let's move into the next segment, which is time to grow. So, you mentioned in our kind of our pre-production meeting about social selling, right? And so I'm just curious, what does that mean to you? And when did you realize that social selling was such a great strategy to connect with people?
So what that means to me is getting yourself out there and getting in front of these people and making those relationships like face to face, looking somebody in the eye and having them see that you're genuine about what you're talking about and that you care about what you do. You don't get that across the phone. All you have is an impersonal side. And after COVID, after all of these different Microsoft Teams meetings, Zoom, no one cares about seeing your face. They want to shake your hand. So I'm going out there, shaking hands and getting people's actual information to see what they need to help their business succeed.
I love that. And I think that's so important, especially making kind of a real connection with someone. You're not just someone in some box on their computer screen that who knows where they are. So does that mean you focus primarily on businesses here in Tampa or in Central Florida so that you can meet them face to face?
That is, but I don't limit myself. So I have the ability to be able to reach out to anybody across the country and help any business. But for me, I want to stay in my own backyard and grow our presence and be able to make a difference with the people I'm around and deal with on a daily basis.
I love it. And I like how you said, how important a handshake is, right? Because, COVID basically took 2 years out of our lives where we could not have human contact, right? And so I think we are really crave that, and that's just such a primal need to have that connection with people. So I think that's such a fantastic philosophy, that social selling that you're pursuing there.
1,000%.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. What did it take for you to grow and advance to become, because director of sales is a great title, right? So you kind of worked your way up to that. So what did that look like?
That took 6 years at another company where I started out in operations, worked my way up to an account manager, senior account manager, and then hopped over to the enterprise side to where I was an enterprise account manager, senior enterprise, After seeing the development through those accounts, through that business, I knew I needed something new, knew I needed something bigger, and I reached out to the right people, was able to get an opportunity, and took the jump over at PayHawk.
Fantastic. And I really like how you started in operations, right? So you really understood the product. You really understood everything. And I feel like those are the best salespeople, the people that actually, they're not just selling it to sell it, but they actually understand what the solution is and how that solution can help someone, right?
Well, what was hilarious was in my actual interview for the job, they were interviewing me for a sales position. And they asked me, do you want to do sales or operations? And I told them that sales was the end goal, but I wanted to start 6 months in operations first. It blew their mind. They did not know why I wanted to do that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I love that.
But that 6 months set me up for success because the first day I started making sales calls, I knew the product I was selling because I was already working on the back end for other people. And I knew going into it confidently what we can do, what our limitations are, and where we excel.
I love that. That's so cool. Is there one project or maybe one thing that you worked on that you're really proud of that you can share?
I'm trying to think what I can say that wouldn't be breaching confidentiality with customers that I have. So I'm trying to think of a way to spin a specific example here for you.
Well, I think that should make potential customers really, really comfortable, right? That you are aware of those items because let's talk about GoPayHawk then, right? So you guys are working with sensitive data, right? And so I like how you already took a pause there and not jumped right into it because you want to keep that sensitive data confidential for those clients. So can you kind of talk about what kind of confidential data you guys work with and how you guys help people at GoPayHawk?
Sure, 100%. So one of the biggest things is PCI compliance, and that's going to be making sure that you're taking credit cards the right way and doing it properly through all of the right security measures, whether it be from an IP and internet standpoint or how you're taking each of the card numbers. That's going to be the primary side. But one of the biggest things is when it comes to being private about it as well, we offer white label solutions. So we can go ahead and onboard your company, go ahead and have your entire terminal set up. But when people are making those payments, they're not seeing GoPayHawk, they're seeing your branding at the top of it. And as far as they're concerned, we're not involved there. So you have that white label solution built out to each individual customer, just depending on the preference.
That's awesome. So what kind of customers are we talking about? Like who's the ideal business that you would work with and help?
See, it's broad. I can do anyone that takes credit cards, but right now where I've seen the most success has been construction, plumbing, Windows companies, as well as software on the sides of plugging in payment gateways into the back end of websites as well as apps to be able to just take those payments, whether it be reoccurring or new charges.
That's fantastic. And people don't even realize what a big part of kind of the customer journey, kind of that checkout is, right? Because marketing is bringing people there, and once they're ready to check out, that's a potential friction point, right? Where people, they want to be able to check out where it's easy, it's seamless. You mentioned website, right? On the website, it needs to work. If I need to put in my credit card information more than once, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to go shop somewhere else, right? Or point of sale as well. I just want to tap, or I just want to use Apple Pay, whatever that is, to make that as seamless as possible. So it sounds like you guys have all those bases covered.
100% we do. And that's one of the biggest things is people are a little hesitant when they realize, wait, so we're working with GoPayHawk. Well, why is it that we're able to utilize these different gateways if we're working with you? And that's the biggest part about working with an ISO like us is we have the ability and the relationships to work with each one of these customers, leverage those pricings to get the better pricing for the customer, as well as we can duplicate that across different gateways. So now I'm bringing the best solution to it for the best price.
That's awesome. You said something there that I don't know if I understood or if our listeners said. You said you're an ISO. What is an ISO?
Oh, an ISO is an independent sales organization.
Got it.
So in credit card processing, there's the acquiring banks that don't tend to work directly with the customers. So they have independent sales come out and actually make those for them. So we connect those dots.
Wow. So you're that one-stop shop for everyone.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, you definitely know your stuff. So I'm excited to move into kind of our next segment here called Barrels of Wisdom, Travis, which is, and I'm going to start off with everyone's favorite question here at the search bar. Travis, what is the last thing in your search bar?
I was looking up GPS locations on the water to try to find structures to go spearfishing.
Wow. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Sure. Through Navionics and through Gmail, you're able, or not Gmail, through Google Maps, you're able to look at the actual ocean maps and you're able to see structures and different color patterns from the light getting through the water. From that, you're able to at least guess where there may be structures, a change in depth, or even you can see cracks along the actual ocean floor.
When you say structures, what kind? Are these like boats that sank, or what are these structures?
So in Tampa, we have boats that sank. There's actually multiple Army tanks that they sunk about 6 miles offshore from the Skyway Bridge. There's all sorts of things down there.
And that's where the swordfish hang out?
Any type of fish.
Okay.
Because in Tampa, everything's so sandy, fish have nowhere to hide. So they have nowhere to get away from the predators. So anywhere you find these different rock formations or just structures under the water, you're likely to find different type of ocean life hiding out underneath, which means you got the predators also circling around trying to find those guys.
Got it. So needless to say, you're a big fan of Google Maps, it seems like.
Well, yeah.
Right. And it helps you with kind of your hobby there and kind of finding all those things. You know, at where I work at Digital Neighbor, we use Google Maps a lot to help businesses be found as well, you know, which is a little bit different than trying to find structures underwater and kind of seeing how the water reflects the sunlight and everything there. But there's so many things you can do with Google Maps. It's amazing.
It's funny because I learned how to do what I'm doing with this off of doing that for a freight brokerage.
Really?
Because I would go to major cities and metropolitan areas, and you just look at the tops of the roofs. If you see the large white roofs, you know that's a commercial building. Zoom in a little bit. Oh, they have 20 freight docks on the back of that warehouse. They're moving shipments. Let me call that warehouse manager.
I love that. Some people might call that creepy, right? That you're able to get that much data. But for me as a marketer, I think it's phenomenal that you can do all your own primary research that way, right? You're using this satellite that took these photos of someone's loading dock to see how many different slots they have there.
Yep. Back in 2017, we didn't have Zoom info that was that up to date. You know, it was all through Google.
Yeah. You're a hustler through and through, right? You know how to grind, you know how to hustle and find how many slots they have there at their loading dock.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. That was awesome, Travis. Thank you. So I'm going to read off the script a little bit here. So, the next question is, the world of business evolves every single day. From your work with business owners and entrepreneurs, what are you seeing change in front right now? And where do you think we're going to be in 2 to 3 years from now? So to distill that down is, you know, with GoPayHawk, the director of sales there, you're talking to businesses every day, right? What are you seeing changing? Is there a change in the landscape? Where do you think we're going in 2 to 3 years? And how are people's needs changing?
At the end of the day, people are needing to stay on their toes right now. And I think everyone knows that because inflation's at an all-time high. And then on top of that, we also have AI entering the game, and no one knows where that's going to go. I would say that's been the biggest factor that I've seen playing in what's on everyone's mind as I'm talking to them about their business, whether it be, are they trying to find out how to reduce costs by bringing in AI to see how it's going to help their business? Or are they scared that they're going to start losing jobs and start losing the ability to work because AI is going to take over? So there's going to be a split group of people, whether it's going to be the people who want to deal with human interaction or the people that don't want that and just want to click and go. So we're coming up on I guess, an event horizon for technology here.
I agree. So what's your hot take on it? Where do you think we're going to go?
I want to stay positive. But we'll see where that goes.
Okay. So maybe we'll have to have you on in a couple years again, like 3 years from now, and see where we ended up there, which path we took there, right? But you mentioned AI. I think, you know, it's on everybody's mind. You know, I think about it, it's a little over a year that ChatGPT came out and it just changed the landscape. Every single piece of software, every app I use has some form of AI now, whether it's completing my sentence for me or trying to distill down a message for me. Are you guys at GoPayHawk using any kind of AI or any kind of technology there?
The closest thing I have to AI would be Grammarly, and I only use that for spell check.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, I try not to utilize AI for my personal messages because I want them to be coming from me and I want them to be worded the way I want to word them. And at this point,
it's a great tip, right? So it's a great tip, you know, because you're talking about having that human touch and kind of shaking someone's hand. So that goes all the way into your message, right? You want your message to come from you and be authentic and not scripted by some kind of machine.
1,000%. And what's funny to me is that back in the day, I used to make sure there was absolutely zero grammar errors, zero spelling errors. Now I purposely put them in there.
I love that. Such a great tip. Okay.
Because now people know it's, okay, this isn't a pre-written. This isn't just some script that they're sending out. This was personalized and they messed up this sentence.
Yes. I love that's a great little hack there, right? So that way people know it's not overly polished, right? That's fantastic. So as far as selling goes, I think you already gave some great tips there. Are there any other tips that you can give for people to prepare kind of for this future, this revolution that we're seeing with AI, and you also mentioned kind of inflation kind of happening. Are there any other kind of hot takes or tips that you have for our listeners that might be salespeople like you?
Continue to be yourself and leverage your own personality, because that's what's going to set you apart and make you different. At the end of the day, anyone can deal with an AI. You can't duplicate your own personality.
Love that. That's fantastic advice. Do you have any recommended books or resources that you want to share with people?
I would say the Challenger sale is always a great start for anybody who's just wanting to get into sales, learn the sales process, and just get it figured out. Because it's one of those things that playing into being personal and being yourself, that also means depends on what kind of material you're going to read. You're going to pick up different information. For me, it was the Challenger sale.
Challenger sale. We'll put that into show notes so that people at home can go ahead and check that out.
Fantastic.
Cool. Well, let's move into the perfect pour. So we always have fun here on the search bar, and the perfect pour is really, we sent you some questions ahead of time to kind of fill in the blanks, kind of Mad Lib style, to create your own wine label for yourself. And just curious what you came up with, if you can read that out to our listeners.
Sure. If I were to create a bottle of my own marketing blend, it would be called Bring Yourself to the Table.
Ooh, okay.
And my bottle of marketing has 2 key ingredients, which are balance and energy, which is the balance of the line that you have to tiptoe to be able to continue to make that sale and keep them engaged, as well as the energy of being able to match someone's energy, because you can't come in overly excited to somebody who's monotonous and a CFO on the other end of the table.
Right.
You got to know your clientele and know how to talk to them.
That's a fantastic tip. Yeah. I hope people are taking notes at home.
And this blend is best for personable people who want to get out of their comfort zone.
Awesome. So you already kind of talked a little bit about those 2 ingredients, balance and energy, right? So can you talk to me, maybe do you have some techniques that you use? Maybe do you do some homework up front to know who you're going to meet with, to know what kind of energy you need to bring to the table, or how do you prepare for that?
I have ADHD, so I just kind of feel it the moment I walk into a room.
Love it. So you just have that sixth sense.
Exactly. It's one of those things, just meeting someone, shaking their hand, hey, how are you doing? And just seeing how they respond to that. I can immediately tell if I need to take it down a notch, if I need to kick it up, and how I need to respond.
Fantastic. So it's your spidey sense tingles.
Exactly.
I love it. That's fantastic. Now remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Okay.
Got to work on that.
Yeah. I love it. Fantastic. Well, I had a blast today, Travis. I hope you had fun as well. To the listeners at home, cheers. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Search Bar. You can connect with Travis and myself, Eric Ritter, on LinkedIn and follow us on our journeys. We'll add the links to everything we talked about to connect with us as well directly in the episode description and show notes. And of course, if you have any SEO or digital marketing questions, feel free to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. As the CEO of Digital Neighbor, you can probably tell I love talking about this topic. We hope we filled your glass with digital wisdom, and we're always looking forward to seeing you for the next episode of the Search Bar. Cheers. Travis, thank you so much for joining us here on the Search Bar. It was an absolute pleasure having you on today.
Likewise, thank you for having me.